Insteaders. Got another project that we finished up this week. Quick little project, a little background on it. Several years ago, I came across a really smoking deal. A guy was giving away a bunch of industrial pallets that were used to haul refrigerated units for semi-trucks. So these pallets were huge, so I had to haul them home with the trailer. But he gave them away, so free is always good. That's my favorite price to pay. But because they were very large, the wood that was used on them was a mix of 2x6s, 2x8s, 2x12s, all bolted together and bolted to about 3-foot sections of 4x4 posts. So had some pretty big gaps in them, but by combining a bunch of them, I was able to make a deck that stood in front of a storage building that we have in the very back of our house that stores our bicycles and some other miscellaneous toys and stuff like that. So the deck, when I first built it, was great. Very solid, very sturdy. Didn't even really spend a whole lot of time making it level and proper. Because it pretty much, as sturdy as it wasn't going anywhere. So very, very nice in that aspect. But unfortunately, what I didn't realize is that just because these were 2x6s and 2x8s and 2x12s that I was used to, they weren't pressure treated lumber like what you would get at Lowe's for building a deck or building something like that. These were meant to be temporary pallets. They weren't meant to be something that was going to be stored outside for long periods of time. So over the next couple of years, the boards have deteriorated to the point where the whole deck needed to be replaced. Even walking across these 2x4s and 2x12s, each time I would step on one, it would crack through and fall to the ground, which was only a couple of inches, but even still, it gives you a little bit of a concern there. So the deck itself, when I decided to replace it, I took some measurements and started figuring out exactly what I wanted to replace it with some store-bought lumber. So it measures 8 foot by 10 foot, and what I wanted to make sure when I replaced everything, I replaced it with ground contact 4x4 posts, and then put 5/4 board decking boards on top to act as the deck. So due to the low expected weight load on this deck, I could span those across about a 2-foot section. So yeah, as a result of that being, putting the boards 2 foot or 24-inch on center, it does free me up to kind of work in 2 different orientations. I could go with 8-foot 4x4 posts and then 10-foot deck boards, or go the opposite direction and do 10-foot 4x4 posts and use 8-foot deck boards. So calculated everything up, drew it out, and what I figured out was that by going with the 8-foot 4x4 posts, they were a little bit easier to carry than a 10-foot 4x4 post. And on top of that, when I added it all up, it worked out to be cheaper lumber-wise by about 20 bucks. So that's a pretty substantial amount. There again, where cheap meets practical. The practical side is that the 4x4 posts will be easier to carry, and the cheap side is that they were cheaper. So that decided that, and we move on to prepping the site. So as you can see, the between the wood rot and that, the nature has kind of taken back over. So there's a lot of poison ivy. There's a lot of vines that have grown up, and a little bit of small little trees that are kind of trying to grow in between there. So I had to start spraying for poison ivy. getting rid of all of the rotted wood, burning what we could burn, taking out the nails and bolts and stuff, removing whatever metal, and then burning the excess wood. And if we couldn't burn it, we ended up throwing it into the backyard to return itself completely to nature. So in the process, we were able to salvage a bunch of roughly 20 deck screws that we used to put it together that were still in great shape. They were still usable, so we salvaged those, and there again, a penny saved is a penny earned. A screw that you save is one that you don't have to buy. So that worked out really, really well. So there again, in the process, we level it out as best we can. Obviously, this is some very, very rocky dirt, very, very hard packed soil. So it's not cooperating with us the way we'd like to get it perfectly level. And in a perfect world, I would probably machine it up and level everything out, tamper it down, and put down a coat of rock with a pea gravel or something like that. But I'm not too worried about the longevity of this because, you know, like I said, these are 4x4 posts that are ground, that are good to hit the ground. And this is, there again, it's a deck in front of a building that stores bicycles. It's not like we're using it all the time. So a little bit of imperfection is good enough. So, but anyway, so as you can see, we are working on it as we go. And to finish everything up, we lay down the 4x4 posts, 24-inch on center, and lay down each individual decking board. Now we use the screws on the perimeter boards to give us a little bit more structural rigidity than the nails. The nails came from Pawpaw. We had a huge bucket of about 2.5-inch galvanized ring nails that we got from Pawpaw. So that's putting a little Pawpaw on the project for this one with his nails. So anyway, here's the finished project. We have a roughly 8-foot by 10-foot dance floor out in the middle of the backyard that looks good and should be solid for several years to come. Thanks again for joining us, and we will see you next time.